Warning, the video you're about to see for YouTube is disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, I see you make it into deeper waters. Prepare yourself for the third layer of the disturbing video game Iceberg. We will dive into killing morale, into viruses taking over the world, but also some depressing and bizarre stuff. Please be warned once again, because we will dive into some heavy subjects in this video, otherwise I couldn't explain the plot of the stories properly. Now we are getting to the good stuff. The previous two videos, if you're interested, will be in the upper corner if you wanna check them out. Now, let's start with this video.
Layer 3.
So you remember 30 seconds ago when I said bizarre and disturbing stuff? Please bear with me on this, guys, okay? Doki Literature Club. You don't know about this game? Oh boy. So, this is a visual dating horror novel for $0 on Steam. But Doki is a bizarre game because you really don't know what the horror is about. It is a game that is marketed as a horror game, so you know what you're in for. But when the horror aspect isn't showing, you're trying to analyze every aspect of the game to find it. This game is a rabbit hole on itself. So to spoil some stuff, after playing 2 hours of a slow-pacing visual novel style of gaming, that one of the characters is suffering depression, is doing self-mutilation and commits suicide. And then the game boots you up at the beginning of the game, but without her, and the game is starting to glitch out. Then you see the club president Monica starts to be aware of itself, so it breaks the fourth wall with you, deletes every girl from the game, so you can be left alone with her forever. It goes so far that she's actually messing with your files on your PC and sending you messages to help her. A truly bizarre and disturbing game. How to describe an undescribable game? Let's try from the beginning. Friendbow is the name of our character. It's a psychological point-and-click horror game. Now the story follows the story of a young girl which one night finds her parents sliced up into pieces by a cult. After witnessing such a scenario, the girl ends up in a mental institution. She wants only to get out, to get back to her beloved granny and finally seek the peace she needs to recover from the things she saw. To her unpleasant surprise, the doctor disagrees with her and thinks she's suffering from depression and schizophrenia and gives her pills. After taking the pills, we see how the world just turned into a mess. The game doesn't give us many clues about is the young Fran suffering from illness or are the pills she's taking are the problem to her hallucinations. The only way to find out is to talk with your demons. But be aware of the demons, because they are the whole time trying to manipulate you to end it all. Imagine being a kid in a loving family. Every day is filled with happiness and joy. Then you suddenly discover your parents are getting divorced and you're left with your mother. As the time goes by, you see that something is off about your mother and the way she's acting. One day, after watching the religious channel, a voice spoke to her and said to her she needs to purify you. First, taking everything you possess, including your clothes. But then the voice starts to speak again to her and tells her the only way to release you of your evil bindings is to kill you. As your mother is trying to chase you with a knife, you crawl into your small chest, and the story goes into many theories what happened. Some say that the game you're playing, a top-down shooter, is based on his last thoughts as he draws breath. This is a really terrifying story, which is to some degree true because the indie developer suffered abuse as a child, but channeled his sufferings and thoughts to this story and game, and he made it remarkable. It is a game that addresses religious elements and many others, but there is also too much to talk about this game, so I stop it here and I hope you understand why it deserves to be on this list. War, devastation and killing. Every human being has the capacity to be evil, but who determines what is evil? We can probably agree when I say killing is bad and an evil deed. Is the killing then justified? After all, you're doing it because you're giving orders. But what if the people that you're commanding have another plot on their mind, a more ambitious, a more selfish plan without you knowing it, and you're just a puppet of the puppet master? Then the war you're fighting is no more on the battlefield, but rather in your head, and that's the theme what makes Spec Ops stand out in the FPS community. Maybe the gameplay isn't something special. It wasn't at the time that the game was released. The graphics have also that PlayStation 3 blur, but the story is carrying the game to its glory it has. You start your day like every other as a software engineer. Then things got weird as you start to work in asylum. You witness horrible torture to some people in the facility. And that's not right, every human being deserves dignity. As you wanted to file a report, you get caught. But then one of the inmates breaks out and starts to do mayhem. In fear, you only manage to grab your camcorder and you fight for your survival starts. As you're not familiar with any combat, the only way you can survive is to hide and outrun your enemies. Outlast Whistleblower was initially a DLC, but it was later released as a standalone game. It acts as a prequel to the first game, and I think the Outlast game is a real treat for every horror fan. I will start with Inside and then later mention why is Limbo also included. Inside tells a story without words. It would be better to say the story is crafted with the visuals and what our minds is capable of imagining of what you saw and feel throughout the game. The game has a depressive tone. Like Soma in the previous video, it addresses the theme of brain control. We see people walking like zombies brainlessly into a facility. But why? What happens in the facility? Who is the owner of the facility? Why is the whole world abandoned and deserted? Those are the questions you can only answer, as the game isn't telling much. Now, Limbo and Inside have few things in common, and that's why people think they are connected. One of the most important things is the mind-controlling worms. Now in Inside, we saw the worms are controlling pigs. But in Limbo, if we play the game, we see that Limbo is controlled by the worms. Many speculate that Limbo is dead. There are many crazy theories about this, but I will stop here and let you dive into the mysterious world of those games. Imagine you being trapped in a prison cell. The world is infected by a virus created by Dr. Money so he can make more money. You receive letters from Dr. Money, Mr. Smiley, Charlotte, and Salvador. The whole world to you are the four walls you see. To analyze this game a bit, I give you some minor spoilers. Happy Body is assigned to you by Dr. Money to keep you happy and not suicidal, since you're one of the only healthy people left in the world. And the nice girl who runs the local bakery near the building you are imprisoned is suffering from loneliness and fear of what Dr. Money has done to the world. I know that the graphics are Windows 98 style or worse, but the game gives me slightly the chills because sadly the creator of this little game is no more among us due to suicide, which gives the game another perspective. Is maybe this how he felt during the last days as a person who is physically apparently healthy but his mind is trapped into darkness? This game is more about the feelings you feel throughout the game than the gameplay aspect. The Last of Us brings us a heartbreaking story about a cold-blooded world after a fungus virus attacked the humanity. If you're wondering if the virus scenario could be real, check this video in the upper corner. The game shows us how the human race turns on each other for food, supplies and weapons. Or what are you capable of doing to save a loved one? Every shot counts and every decision could be your last. Watch your step, because the infected won't have any mercy. Expotable Money is a prequel game to Presentable Liberty, and you play as Dr. Money. So, if the previous game sounded interesting, you should definitely give this game a go, as it lets you a deeper look into the game. In Modern War, you will die like a dog for no good reason. We explore in this video how war can be bad if you're in it, but how does the war play out when you are not on the front? but just a normal civilian. You will need to watch out for your group and yourself. As you're sitting in your small shelter, memories of warm home fade away with every sniper shot. Many things will be on your mind. In the time of war, should you give the kid food which is knocking on your door, even if you don't have enough for your group? Have mercy and starve. Or don't have mercy and see how your group becomes depressed and suicidal because of such a deed. This game is definitely not for the light-hearted. So, to cheer you up a bit after some depressing themes, here is Pony Island. This game lets you play as a pony, but also as a programmer. But don't worry, you won't be really programming. It is of course a simplified version for the sake of the game. Now this game has some flaws, but many of the games on this list have. But does it have where it counts? In the story element, immersion and atmosphere. Well, sort of, because it's a quite bizarre game which loves to play with the fourth wall, and it has some jump scares now and then. But it has its shares of disturbing moments because it involves Satan. I mean, I didn't say it was much better than the previous games on the list, but it has a cute pony at least. This game possesses definitely sinister and evil charm to it, and it feels rewarding after you discover its true means. Skipping this one, guys, because I already talked twice about Atlas on this list. Don't be mad. Fingerbones sets you in a quite an interesting and small atmospheric world. The game is looking much like a Minecraft mod. The game is structured around who is insane. As more and more titles on this list dive into this subject. The story follows a man who is finding messages. You can finish the game when you want it because at all times a exit is available, which seems like an interesting concept. The game is pretty certain you would not exit through the door, because it will be end of the game. But to be real, if you downloaded the game, you want to play it probably, so yeah. Back to Fingerbones. I don't know if this game will be worth your time. It has a plot twist at the end, but I don't know, if the game looks interesting to you, give it a go. Let's move on, okay? What hides the deep web? Many of us only experience the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the internet. But where the internet really starts to show its real face is on the deep web. Everything is possible over there with the proper knowledge. One of the things that could be found on the dark web, besides many illegal substances and stuff you shouldn't possess or use, are things that are called red rooms. Now if you're not familiar with red rooms, well, that's a good thing. But let me explain what they are. Well, red rooms are sites on the dark web where people live streaming torture and killing of people, so that other sick and twisted minds can pay an amount and demand undesirable things to be done. This game is based on that idea. Both games are based on solving puzzles, hacking systems and browsing the deep web. But it isn't that easy as you think. You will be invaded by the SWAT team, but also a killer who is trying to get a hold of you after you failed to hack a system. You will also need to run away from your PC, change your VPN and many other things. But the biggest problem of the game, what many people are complaining, is that the game hasn't any checkpoint. So if you get caught or killed, it's game over for you and you will need to start the whole process all over again. Silent Hill is one of the best horror games that the horror genre has to offer. Silent Hill 2 sends you on a journey to find your wife. But then the questions are starting appearing. Where is your wife? Why did she left? Silent Hill then introduces us to a few characters throughout the game. Every character has some odd choice. Why are they in the town? Does Silent Hill act like a purgatory to those people to seek forgiveness? Or does it act as a town where you need to face your inner demon? Or it is just an illusion? The game will keep you on the edge with the story. I won't dive much into the depth of the game because spoiling this masterpiece would be a shame. Everyone who played the game knows what I'm talking about, and for you who didn't play the game, go on and dive into the folk town of Silent Hill. Omori lets you fight with your fears, and the dark side that is following you around. The easy way is to run away and forget about everything, going with your friends on a grand adventure, but every so often you're confronted with the dark side. But the game isn't only set in the dream world, but also in the real world. So the only way Omori can wake up from the dream world is by stabbing himself with a knife. The time you're playing in the real world is great, as they show you what are your dreams made of. You saw one of your so-called friends in the real world and she is hanging out with some bad guys, and you get into a fight with her and you attack with the knife you use on yourself in the dream world. Now this got a really dark twist to it, because you're not anymore in the fantasy world. That raises so many questions, but it is a generally worth experiencing. It is a grindy game, it will take you about 20 hours to beat this game. If you're a fan of SNES RPG games, this game is worth a try. What is more depressing than ending your life? Probably not succeeding and be brought back to life. This is the grim start of The Cat Lady, made by a Polish developer. Along with your depressing state, you met a lady who is broken like you. The game is stepping into some hot water. What AAA games don't even come close? And this game has it all. It is a real depressing tale of a woman who is losing touch with reality. It is a story worth exploring if you're into the abstract art style the game has, and you wanna hear about some heavy subjects being put in the front light. Higurashi When They Cry is a type of a game that isn't for everyone. It is a visual style psychological horror with sprinkles of drama and mystery. Oh boy. Much of the game revolves around you growing to like the characters in the game, so when the final twist is revealed, it is even more impactful. This game is divided into two parts, so the real action, so to say, is in the second part. But to not make this video longer than I should, I will end it here. So that's all for this video. I know this video was a bit of a downer, but you need to stay positive, so remember to relax and get those heavy subjects out of your mind. I hope you enjoyed how I dive a bit more in depth with every game. I don't like when somebody just rushes through the list for the sake to make a quick video. And that's one more reason why this Iceberg is in 5 parts. We still have 2 layers to go through, so stay tuned. If you enjoyed the video, remember to give a like, comment and subscribe if you're new. I see you in the next one.